Generational wealth is a term used to describe the accumulation of assets and income over successive generations. If built correctly, it can become an extremely powerful tool to help our loved ones continue to learn and thrive for decades to come. Today, I will answer the following questions. What is generational wealth? Why is it so very important? How can we go about building it? Thank you for tuning in to my Be Singer Fire journey. In this channel, I love sharing my journey to financial independence with tips related to personal finance and investing. So first, let's answer the question, shall we? What is generational wealth? Generational wealth is the transfer of assets from one generation to another. The concept of generational wealth is important because it allows families to maintain their financial knowledge and accumulate wealth over the future. It can be in the form or look like property, stocks, bonds, or other assets. I would also like to add that the key to keeping generational wealth truly is knowledge. So of course, it's important to pass on any knowledge we have of how money works and how to invest in assets over the long run. Many families pass down their wealth through trusts or other legal mechanisms. But unfortunately, many families do not prioritize building generational wealth and are stuck living paycheck to paycheck. To see strategies to get out of this rat race and stop living paycheck to paycheck, you can check out other videos on this channel that I've created. Just remember, fam, that it's never too late to get started. It doesn't matter what your finances look like compared to others. What is important, however, is starting where you're at and taking steps today towards a brighter future. Okay, so there are several factors that contribute to the accumulation of this generational wealth. One of the most important is education. Families that take the time to study money really will get much further ahead in life. And the best part is, anyone can start learning about money today. Another important thing is investing in assets. But in addition to this, it's crucial to get out of bad consumer debt. It's a real burden, and live within our means, save money for emergencies, etc. Another factor that comes into play here is inheritance. Although out of our control, it's true that those who inherit property or other assets are more likely to have this generational wealth. And finally, families who own businesses may be more likely to have more money and assets to pass down to their children and others. So essentially, we have education, money knowledge, assets, inheritance, and business ownership that are all important factors in accumulating generational wealth. However, guys, remember these are not the only factors. Individuals can still accumulate wealth without receiving money from past ancestors. I want to add in here, friends, that my wife and I hope to give our children some generational wealth to support them, but more importantly, we will strive to help them understand how to take dominion over their finances. Currently, my wife and I have 2 real estate assets, or rental properties. We are debt-free except for the mortgages and are working very hard to continue increasing our net worth, which is currently over $500,000. My wife and I are still just in our 20s. If we're able to do this at such a young age, you can too, regardless of age. Now let's talk about why generational wealth is so important. Essentially, families with this type of multi-generational wealth can transfer assets from one generation to another, giving them a more secure future. Think about being able to go to school without loans. That wasn't me, but I hope that my kids one day can have that possibility. And I want to mention that the very thought of generational wealth, this idea, can also bring families together instead of apart. Having this same financial mindset or goals towards building wealth for the purpose of helping one another and generations to come can create this sense of unity and love. The financial lessons we learn associated with building long-term generational wealth go far beyond just managing finances. Through learning more about money, I've been able to better take control over other areas of my life. For example, delayed gratification is an important skill to have for finance, but also works to improve the overall quality of our lives. I've used this principle to help me lose weight and develop more healthy habits. Okay, so how can we build wealth to last for generations? First off, if you are not born into generational wealth, such as me, and don't have these assets passed down onto you, do not worry, because you can literally begin now by making the conscious decision to take action. Here are a couple of questions to ask yourself and ponder about. How can you specifically build generational wealth? What is unique about you that could work in your favor? How can you create a legacy that will last long after you are gone? What does that look like exactly? The fact that you are interested and already have the desire puts you way ahead of most people. There are a few key things, however, to keep in mind when building up your wealth. Number 1, start now. The earlier, the better. One of the most crucial things is to start early, or as soon as you can. The earlier we start saving and investing, the more our money has time to grow and compound interest can go to work for us. This is why it's so important to teach financial literacy to young people such as our children. They need to understand how money works and how to make it work for them. And yes, I understand that there can be some feelings of apprehension or unease when starting something new. The journey will always have ups and downs, right? and opportunities to learn from mistakes. But remember, not trying at all will never lead to the desired results that we want in life. When first learning about money, I was quite overwhelmed, but slowly, by learning and practicing, I felt more comfortable and realized it isn't all that complicated. Number 2, build a business that you love. Another way to build generational wealth is by starting your own business. This could be anything from a small online business to a brick and mortar store. Not only will building a successful business be creating more wealth, but you will also have the opportunity to create jobs for others, which is always a wonderful thing. Number 3, invest in assets, but also invest in yourself, which is an amazing asset. This can be done through education, mentorship, or investing in assets such as stocks or real estate. In a nutshell, anything that puts money into your pocket is an asset. If it takes the money out, then it is a liability. And please remember that investing in yourself increases your chances of success and makes it more likely that you'll be able to help others succeed as well. The more financial knowledge that you acquire, the more you can pass on to future generations to come. So taking the time to educate others about money and how it works is also a great way to build generational wealth. And seriously, one of the best things is when you help others learn about personal finance, you set them up for success and happiness. Now onto the value of assets. It's important to remember that the value can compound over time, which can create a lot of wealth. If you continue to pass on these assets over generations, the compounding effect will work wonders for generational wealth. And number 4, cultivate a generous heart. Although difficult at times and is something that I'm constantly working on, it's crucial to remind ourselves to think outward, to give back to the community and help those who are less fortunate. Although we do not do this for selfish reasons, but other people will notice, and this is an important thing to have that will reflect your legacy and also teach your children good values. There's a saying, what goes around comes around. But remember, when being generous, do not expect anything in return. Do it out of a pure heart, and it will make you feel happier throughout generations to come. Let's talk about now how to protect your purchasing power through generations. Inflation is one of the biggest silent killers of wealth, so we must have a game plan in place to protect the purchasing power of your wealth through generations. One way to do this that I love is by owning assets that increase in value faster than inflation. Let's say, for example, you own a rental property. The rent you charge will likely go up as time or inflation increases. This in turn helps offset any decrease in purchasing power that your wealth may experience. Another possible way to protect your wealth from inflation is by investing in assets such as gold and silver. These commodities have a long history of retaining their value even during inflation. Another way to hedge against inflation is investing in stocks or companies that are likely to benefit from rising prices. Utilizing these strategies as well as others will help protect your wealth from the ravages of inflation and ensure that it retains its purchasing power for generations to come. So how does this wealth get passed down? Many families pass down their generational wealth through trusts or other legal mechanisms. This gives more control over how the assets are used and helps to preserve the family's wealth. Honestly, there are different channels or methods that you could use. When considering each method, it is crucial to consider your family's needs and objectives, and also what the tax implications would look like. So here are just a few ways to pass on your wealth. Trusts, wills, gifting. Trusts are a popular way to pass down wealth because they offer several advantages. They can be used to control how the assets are used and can also help protect the family's wealth from creditors or lawsuits. Wills are another way to pass down generational wealth. With a will, you can specify how your assets should be distributed after you die. In a will, you can also appoint a guardian for your children. Now, gifting is another way for passing down your generational wealth. There's always options to gift assets to your children or grandchildren during your lifetime. This can be a great way to help them get a head start, right? Again, it's important to conduct some additional research and make sure you understand all the implications, including tax. So working with a financial advisor could also be a great option. All right, to sum things up, financial knowledge is the most important aspect of passing down generational wealth. You need to understand your family's financial situation and objectives clearly. It's crucial for your heirs to understand and know how to manage and invest that money. And ultimately, it's important to have a plan in place on how to transfer the wealth once we've passed on. Please comment and let me know your thoughts on today's video. If you found it insightful or helpful, please click that like button and subscribe for more content to come.